Hello there and welcome back to another review. So today we're going to be having a look at one of my all-time favourite Jet Li movies, and that is The Legend of Fong Sai-Yuk, which I've got here. I always remembered it as Fong Sai-Yuk, just Fong Sai-Yuk. I remember when I watched it originally, I think I first saw it when it was on Channel 4 here in the UK back around, must have been 97, 98 time. And it was just called Fong Sai-Yuk. I didn't realise it was called The Legend of Fong Sai-Yuk, but that's what it's sort of known as now. I say just Fong Sai-Yuk. This was a movie I saw. I'd say I think that was the first time I saw it. It was around 98 when it was shown on TV, and I absolutely loved this film. From the very first time I saw it, I thought it was a fantastic Jet Li movie. I've seen it multiple times since. I've recently watched it for the purpose of this review, and it still is one of my all-time favourite Jet Li movies. Made back in 1993, produced by Jet Li himself and directed by Yuen, who actually worked a lot with Jet in the 90s, directing in films such as Bodyguard from Beijing, My Father is a Hero, or My Father the Hero. So and Yuen as well. Well, you know, I've mentioned him in so many reviews. An amazing choreographer, and like I say, you know, martial artist in his own right. Which I mean, they're both. I mean, when you look at talking about Yuen's films, you know, like Bodyguard from Beijing and like My Father the Hero, they're so overdue like a Blu-ray release. They need, like, when you're talking in terms of like Eureka and 88 films that are doing really well on the Samos and the Jackie Chans, but Jet Li is actually suffering a little bit in terms of what they've released on Blu-ray. Yeah, we've had the Once Upon a Time in China's, but there's still like where's Black Mask? Where's Dr. Wei? All these Jet Li films they've got to release. I think the film was a big box office hit going back to Fong Sai-Yuk when it was originally released. I believe it won the Golden Horse Award and Hong Kong Award for action choreography and editing. And rightly so, because the film is an absolute blast. It really is an absolute blast. Josephine Siao is absolutely phenomenal in this as Fong Sai-Yuk's mum and with the title character himself. Though he may look similar, like when you look at Jet Li like that, you think that's just Wong Fei-hung, isn't it? He's just playing, it's just a different name, but he's playing the same sort of role. This character is very different. The Fong Sai-Yuk character is very different what Jet Li is playing here. Make no mistake, as I say, he's a rascal. He's always up for a fight, and the film is carried with that amazing chemistry between Jet Li and Josephine and what they have together. We get a great cast here with the film as well. We get Sibelle, Peter Chan, and Vincent Zhao as our villain. Very interesting as well that he played Wong Fei-hung in the Once Upon a Time in China films in parts 4 and 5 respectively. But here he is acting together with Jet Li. Worth mentioning, the film even lampoons the Once Upon a Time in China franchise at one point, implying this is, you know, going to be a much more lighter movie. The film does have its serious tones and its serious moments with the plot, but it almost, in a way, sort of it sort of ridicules it a little bit, as I'd say. Definitely sort of lampoons it a little bit along the way. But this was my favourite Jet Li movie for a long time. It was probably it probably still is. It's probably still up there. It's probably easily in my top 5 that he's made, because the whole film just works. It completely just works from start to finish. You get genuinely funny scenes. You get great performances. You get lightning fast choreography, editing and wire work, and the whole film is just a great ride. The pacing of it is perfect. It's not like fight. They do, like Yuen does, put the brakes on, but at the same time, even when the brakes are on and there's no martial arts happening, it's still entertaining. There's still funny stuff going on here. Even going so far, like my own mum, this is her favourite Jet Li movie. When she watched it, she absolutely loved it. She's not the biggest Hong Kong movie fan in the world, mate. You know, that is a given. But make no mistake about that. But she absolutely loved this film. I mean, that shows something about Fong Sai-Yuk. But if you've only seen like Jet Li in his Western releases, like Lethal Weapon 4, Romeo Must Die, Cradle to the Grave, with DMX, this film in many ways is a great place to start. If you want to get into Jet Li's Hong Kong work, I would definitely say check out Fong Sai-Yuk. I think that's definitely up there. I think that is definitely one that you should check out. Probably more so than Once Upon a Time in China, I would say, is this film, it's a lot more faster paced. The fight and action comes a lot more thick and faster, and it's a lot more lighter in tone. So the film starts and opens with this emperor being ambushed by members of the Red Flower Society. I mean, this opens the film and you don't even have time to think or ask what is happening. Like, it's a mad scene right away. It's just, you know, you're thrown in there. Even have Adam Cheng here on like this semi-flying horse, who I'm sure many of you will remember from Zoo Warriors. The emperor gets killed, but turns out it was all a dream, as he is fearing for his life. So we have Vincent Zhao as the governor who's confronting these blacksmiths about a list of names. And it's always a list of names, isn't it? It's always a list of names with rebels on in these movies. I think it's in Project A2, it's a list of rebels. There's always a list of rebels that they're after. Then we go to this track and field competition where Fong Sai-Yuk saves the girl Ting Ting from a group of nasty guys. Unhappy, they ask him to compete with them in like some sporting events. And the whole film, it has to be noted, it really does look like Jet Li is having a complete blast in this movie. It really does look like he's really enjoying himself. He's got like he's just full of energy throughout the whole movie. He really is, like you can tell, he's in every level. He's just enjoying himself. It seems to be, like I say, really involved with. I say probably where he was producer as well. But to say, fantastic performance from Jet here. First, we had the long jump at this track and field, which he leaps about 10 feet from like a standing position. I mean, is that? I don't think that's possible. But you never know. Then we had the relay race, and this is where the film talking about what works in this film, when they have the relay race, this is when you first become aware this film has an amazing soundtrack. This has wonderful music that really sort of goes along with what's happening, and it's a great score. It gets your blood pumping, and it's got an energy to it. And you watch this film, and you will take away, if you watch the original Hong Kong version, you will take away the music as well, because because when you think of Hong Kong movies, especially from this period, like the 90s to 80s, that you don't really recall the music as such, but this film has a really, really good soundtrack, and it has a lovely theme that carries it on through the movie. So even after all this, like this relay event, we have an awesome fight where Jet uses like a flag, and what is great about the Fong Sai-Yuk character is that he just loves fighting. Fong Sai-Yuk just loves to fight, and he loves brawling, and he is always up for a rumble and to take guys on. He really doesn't care. Never one to take the high ground. He always wants some fisticuffs. So Ting Ting sort of, where he meets her, she sort of falls for him right away. So they get arrested, and this guy Tiger Liu is having like a fighting competition to find his daughter a husband who is actually Ting Ting. Then we have a great moment where Jet does like the Wong Fei Hung stance. He, like, because I say, when I'm talking about lampooning Once Upon a Time in China, the music, you hear the start of the music, you hear the start of the Once Upon a Time in China theme, and he says, "My name is Wong." And then he goes, Jing. So it's, as I say, and you've got two lampoons there, one to the whole Once Upon a Time in China franchise and one to the director, Wong Jing. Unless you are like a Hong Kong movie fan, that joke would probably be lost on you. It would probably go completely over your head. But, I did smile. I don't think I really... When I was younger, I don't think I got that joke right away, but obviously hadn't seen loads and loads and hundreds of like Hong Kong movies since. Now I get it. So then we meet Sai-Yuk's mum, played by the awesome Josephine Siao, who just steals every scene she's in. And what is great about her character is that she is just as much of a troublemaker as her son is. That's what's so fantastic about this relationship Fong Sai-Yuk has with her mum, with his mum. They're two, like, she's just as much as getting into, like, things she shouldn't as he is. She's rude to people, she beats people up, even both getting beaten up by Jet Li's dad, both covered in bruises, which is quite funny at one point. It's not what actually happens, but just the way it's shown. She always tries to sulk and be harsh to his father, but she always goes all smitten and loves him again whenever he sort of like recites poetry to her. He can basically get away with anything as long as he recites poetry at the end of it. She's quite happy, and she's like putty in his hands basically. So Tiger Lloyd's competition again. Sibelle, who as his wife is the person that all challengers have to beat. With the fighting though, with the wire work in this movie, there is wire work, but it's not sort of crazy wire work. I mean, they never go super mad with it. Yes, it is there, but dare I say it's somewhat more grounded than a lot of kung fu sort of new way movies that were going on in this period. I mean, when you look at, like, say, Yuen Ping doing films, like Iron Monkey or like the choreography in Once Upon a Time in China 2, their wire work goes off the scale. Like Tai Chi Master's another one. Tai Chi Master, at the end, you can actually see a lot of the wires with Jet Li and Chin Su Ho. But this film, there's wire work in it, make no mistake, but it's not to the point where they're flying all over the place. If you know what I mean. It's sort of used, I won't say seldomly, but it's used sort of when needed, sort of sparingly. So Jet goes to compete and even have them both fighting on people's heads at one stage. So Jet loses on purpose as Ting Ting has gone missing and been replaced by one of the staff, and he has no idea. Basically, them two like each other, but he has no idea that Ting Ting is the prize. And then his mum competes basically to save her son's honour, pretending to be a guy and calling herself Fong Sai-Yuk. Again, I can't stress enough how well the music helps the movie. Sibelle gets smitten with her, thinking she is a man, basically. His mum wins the competition and has to marry Tiger's daughter. Then we have a hilarious scene with Jet in drag. Sai-Yuk is roped in to marry Ting Ting, though he still doesn't know it's her from the sporting event from earlier, and she's like under a veil, so they still don't know. He still doesn't know that this is Ting Ting, the girl that he actually does like. And you think they're about to see each other. You think they're about to, finally realise that who each other are, but then the lights go out, which is, just drags it on even more. Sibelle wants Yuk to give his mum a letter, as she basically fancies her at this point. So Sai-Yuk and Ting Ting finally see each other, and he's like, "Are you trying to escape from Tiger Loo too?" She says she is ashamed of who he is, and he's not well liked. Vincent Zhao tells Tiger to inform him of any red flower activity. The premise is that what with the whole Vincent Zhao and what his character's doing with the rebels, it's actually Jet's dad who has the list and is basically aiding the rebels. So his dad, even though he can't fight, he's the one that's helping the rebellion and helping these rebels, with their cause. So it's so awesome when mother and son go against Zhao, as their dad doesn't know any kung fu. As I was saying, he really is putting the idea of a strong female character forward here who knows kung fu and protecting her husband rather than sort of the other way around. An absolutely amazing showdown between Jet and Vincent, just incredible. It's fast, it's fluid, above all else, it's just fun. Yuen and Corey Yuen really outdid themselves here with the choreography. Yuen, if you don't know, he was in Hero with Yuen, also done by Corey Yuen. I think Yuen also done a lot of the choreography with Yuen on Iceman Cometh as well. But with the choreography here, really done well. Both using amazing, like with this scene, they use different length bow staffs as well at one point, which is quite fun. And it's worth noting, if you look at most scenes of the movie, there is so much condensation coming from the characters' mouths, which means when this film was shot, it must have been extremely cold. Like, there's so much condensation coming out of their mouths at what's like throughout the movie. It looks like a very, very cold shoot. So the family stay at Tiger Loo's to sort of be protected. Vincent turns up, and I love how you get a real sense they are family here with Jet and his mum and dad, and they're trying to hide themselves up, like by all scrunching up their faces, which is hilarious when you watch it. They're all doing these funny faces and scrunching their faces up so they don't look like, how they're meant to. And although what is happening is serious, there is a lot of comedy injected into most scenes in the movie, and for the most part, like I say, I'd go as far as say probably 98% of the comedy really works. It really does land and it works well. Su-Wan, Sibelle Hu's character, gets shot by the governor, and despite all the comedy, what really makes the film work is the amount of heart that it has at its core. Tiger loses his house and Sai-Yuk's dad gets captured, so after his friends didn't sell him out, the film goes super serious. At the end, it has to go a bit dramatic, and at the end it does do that. But it goes super serious but super awesome at the same time, with Sai-Yuk going to collect his friend's corpse, and we get some awesome rope work here from Jet. Sai-Yuk's dad is to be executed, though he doesn't tell his mum. Not going to lie, when I watched this the first time, I wasn't in tears, but it was close, because it's quite an emotional scene at the end with Jet Li trying to save his dad. And also as well when Josephine pretends to be Tai-Yuk, and for the last time as Su-Wan is as Sibelle Hu's character is dying. It's quite an emotional scene there as well. So Sai-Yuk goes to save his dad, and always with the list of rebels, like I say, Project A2. Isn't Once Upon a Time in China 2, there's a list of rebels as well, isn't there? Isn't that a thing, if I recall? Because there's rebels with Once Upon a Time in China 2 with Donnie and David Cheng, if I recall. But I swear that's about a list of rebels as well. Always a list. So Sai-Yuk turns up and I love his character fighting. You have to ask, like I say, Corey Yuen, he always loves his characters fighting on horseback for some reason. Like I say, just look at the opening of Hero for that with Yuen. So the idea is his dad is in the guillotine and Jet has to defeat Vincent before the burning rope breaks and the blade falls down. So if you remember Martial Club with Wang Lun-Wei and Gordon Liu fighting in a narrow alleyway, this film does that. It does sort of that whole idea. At the end of Martial Club, going way back when I reviewed that, if you haven't seen Martial Club, make sure to go and check it out. But the whole idea with that end fight was they were in a narrow space, right? They was in a confined sort of alleyway. And that was the gimmick of the fight. That's all it was, but it's a great gimmick nonetheless. But what they do here, that this film does that sort of thing, but having our two fighting in a really cramped setting, but under like the ceiling's low. It's not short like sideways. It's from above. So they're in like they're sort of under these like wooden beams. They having the two fight in a really cramped place, and how they've done the wire work under all these wooden boards and that, I have no idea. Again, the music, the moves, it just works. Really powerful emotional scene when he's holding onto the rope of the guillotine, saying that I only have one dad. And again, it's a really powerful performance from Jet Li, a very funny one, but a really powerful performance as well. And it's such a shame that Josephine wasn't there for more of the finale, but she does ride in as the townfolk, begin like helping Sai-Yuk, and although she is slaughtering the soldiers as she does, like she does kill a good handful as she rides in as well. Then Adam Cheng turns up, and like I say, the wire work is still out there, but it doesn't go like Yuen Wu Ping mad with it. It doesn't go super bonkers crazy with the wire work. Ends with Vincent actually getting blown up, and the film, as they always do, ends very abruptly with Sai-Yuk and Ting Ting joining the rebels. I will get round to reviewing Fong Sai-Yuk too, but they really should like do a double pack of this, like Eureka or 88 films. You know, like when I mentioned In Bride with White Hair, they could have easily done that as a double pack. They could easily, like, they should release like the Fong Sai-Yuk 1 and 2 as like, together as like a double pack. And it's a shame with Eureka, just talking to Jet Li and their releases. It's a shame with the Once Upon a Time in China. I know they wanted to do sort of as a Jet Li collection, but they really should have put in parts 4 and 5 as well. I know there is a collection of 4 and 5, but for a UK release, it would have been lovely if they did chuck in 4 and 5 in there as well. But what a movie, what a fantastic Jet Li movie. And as I say, so easy to see why it won the best choreography and gets good reviews and praise from a lot of people. And to me, it's one of Jet Li's best. I think it's still... I mean, Black Mask is high on my favourites of Jet Li's. I do like Dr. Wei as well. There's a lot, as I say, there's a lot from the Jet Li output, especially in the 90s. They really do need to get round to like re-releasing, like giving them proper like deluxe proper releases that they deserve. But go check it out. Great performances from the ever talented Josephine Siao, great villain, Jet Li on fine comedic form, and it's just a wonderful kung fu movie and a real blast. So thank you very much indeed for watching. Go and check out Fong Sai-Yuk, and I'll see you soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.